Hello and welcome to the RTO Show podcast. I'm your host, Pete Chow. I've got an amazing guest today that's going to talk to us about grand openings, what we need to do for grand openings. But first, make sure you go to the podcast website at rtoshowpodcast.com. Go on there, check us out, listen to new episodes. You also have the ability to get the newsletter, and that would be great. Sign that up because you don't get the same things that you would get here. You get something completely different. It's about news, it's about industry, and it's about what's going on out there. And my guest today, Vince. Vince, we had a really good time in DC, did we not?
We did. That was my first LegCon. So
that was amazing.
That's what made it even better.
So Vince is the VP, and you are the literal guy who helps people get their franchises open.
That's true. That is true. VP of franchising. Of course, now we have a whole team, Pete, that helps in that manner. But there was a time when I wore every hat. Well, so glad that we've gone past that.
We've tried to get it to minimalize that a little bit so that you can have a little help. Right. So you come from the ground up. Now, Vince, you've been with R&R Tire Express. Is it 25 years that we just passed?
24 years.
24 years.
24
okay.
years.
24 years. He's been here almost quarter century, guys. He's not done yet. Yeah. But as VP, coming from where you came from, you started at the bottom. Am I right? I mean, you started from beginning entry level,
ground zero, right? Yeah.
You know, and then but you also worked with Larry Sutton beforehand. Right, you worked with him a little bit before you got to R&R Tire Express, because there's a little story right there. Yeah. So before we got to R&R Tire Express, can you explain where the beginnings were and how you got to where you are now?
Oh gosh, we have a beautiful story actually that I share with Larry. I'm 19 years old and I've got a job where I'm delivering washing machines in Clearwater Beach, Florida for Champion TV and Appliance. Unbeknownst to me, they were opening a fourth store. Larry had 3 Champion stores, and this was his fourth store, was going to be his first store in Tampa. So I was hired to actually open the Tampa store. So I got to open a Champion TV and Appliance store under Larry Sutton, and kind of learned the ropes while Larry actually had his office in that particular store. So Larry was there. At one point, his brother Steve was managing the store. His sister Judy was the account manager, and I was learning from the Sutton family, the RTO business. I mean, what great mentors, right?
Right. Well, I mean, talking about heritage, the whole family has a great lineage in the RTO industry, right? From Slats, from Larry, right. Adam's doing a great job. When we talk about how far back it goes, what I loved about it is it wasn't just a come up story for them, right? So you got Larry who did his thing and then decided to go to the wheel and tire side. You've got the other family that went the other way, but Larry did his own thing in tire and wheel, which was something unique. He started traditional. He goes to the R&R tire side and he says, okay, we can do wheels, we can do tires. And I'm going to take Vince with me. What was that like? And why was there, the transition between the traditional and what you're doing now? Like, what was that thought process going, Larry, what are we doing here? And is this, or was it like, yes, like I know this is it. I know this is going to work.
Well, truth be told now, when there was a huge roll up with some stores, and Champion got rolled up into another company and another company and another company, there was a certain point where Larry, who was the Southeast division of this company, he was the VP of the Southeast division, was disillusioned with the management from a company that's answerable to stockholders, right? Yeah. And not running the company the way that he would as a sole owner or individual proprietor, as he had in the past, the way he ran a Champion store. Okay. So he left, and I ended up going from the VP of real estate for the Southeast to managing a store that I actually opened for Larry, his 5th store in Tampa, as a young man, and was like, that was full circle. Ended up with RES Accessories for a short stint.
Wow, yeah.
And during that time is when Larry was kind of enjoying retirement and realizing that he needed something more than just golf.
He was perfecting the golf swing. He was perfecting the golf swing. Yeah.
And that's when he started, R&R Tire Express, or Rent and Roll at the time. And it was a couple years in when he actually had asked me to dinner and said, "Hey, I'm doing this wheel and tire thing. You want to come back home and let's grow this thing together?" And it was like, "Yeah, sure. That sounds great." I actually went to a couple stores and saw how exciting it might be to be in cars and cool wheels and stuff like that, and still doing RTO. So we're serving the same customer with a completely different product line. And yet it was, well, very similar to traditional RTO, it was very different. Very different. Oh man, Larry would say we lost so much money in the first days learning how to do whatever he had to do. Go back at night, rewrite PMP, and come back. And the business truly evolved over the first 10 years, very dynamically, to a point where, again, Rent and Roll became R&R Tire Express, and that really kind of started this growth of R&R that we're still kind of on that whole trajectory. So it's been a wonderful ride this past 24 years, almost 40 years with Larry growing in the RTO business. And just, it's a blast. So I love whenever I get a chance to tell stories about the old days,
So Larry Sutton gets this idea. He calls up Vince. Here we go. Now, how does that transition? Because I got to know. We're talking about grand openings. I don't know anybody who's been to more grand openings than you, but I have to know, how does that transition to a pirate outfit? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, just so you guys are aware. We're talking about the pirate outfit. We're not getting away from that. So as this growth trajectory starts going up, this is when you start what we would call the grand opening process. And through all of these, am I right in saying out of the 214 or 17 locations that we're kind of currently in and about to open and have, you've been to at least half?
Easily
yes. Half.
Yeah.
Now, the important thing the reason I want to talk about this is because I think we talk a lot about the day-to-day minutia, right? What it is when you come in and you're being a GM and training, and what are you looking for and how do you interview and the processes that you go through and the people that you talk to and the vendors. We've never talked about what it is to have the big pop off, because the difference between a good grand opening and a bad one can hurt. And it'll hurt in business, because the truth is you want to grow as fast as you humanly possible, because like you said, you can lose money in those first days. Now, of course, there are processes and procedures already in place, and thank goodness that R&R has that. Right. And I think that has led to a lot of the growth that we have now. I mean, it is one of the premier tire and wheel concepts in North America. So to get there, we got to open. And that's when we start putting on the pirate costume and going out there. Like, how did that come about? How did the pirate costume come about? Because I look at R&R Tire and Wheel, and I look at all the pictures, and man, it was awesome. But where'd the correlation come in, or was that that was a Vinceism? That was like a Vince thing.
There was a bit of a what do you call it? Not kismet, but perhaps fate. The way that it all came together. And Pete, just to back up again, on the trajectory of a new store, everybody knows it's so critical to the financial health of the store to ramp up as quickly as possible.
Yes.
And the grand opening event, as we call it, is one component in that. There are so many things that go into that growth of the first year of the store. So, I don't want to overemphasize how the grand opening can be make it or break it, but a well done grand opening can certainly help that trajectory.
Yes.
And then exponentially, the referrals and the growth of everything that comes from it, I think, is the biggest impact. So we're doing some grand openings, and for the first Captain Jack experience, okay? Again, everyone, to put it into context, we're in Tampa. And in Tampa, we have the Gasparilla Parade. And for, like over 100 years, for whatever the city celebrates this Pirate Fest. Our NFL football team is the Buccaneers, and right. Intentionally because of the heritage of pirates, right? Okay, so everybody dresses up for Gasparilla Day. as well. I'm thinking, Larry has been having some really, this was at that time, he would have some really knockout Halloween costume parties.
Yeah.
Right. So one year I invest in a Captain Jack Sparrow pirate outfit, and I wore it thinking, hey, this thing's October. In February is Gasparilla. I'll get to use this outfit a couple times, whatever. And it was a hit. I mean, it was like everybody went crazy that it looked really good. All right. Right. So the grand opening of Steve Sutton, Larry's brother's Ocala store, we relocated from an inline to a freestanding building. And that grand opening happened to fall on the same day as the night parade. Oh gosh, and we have 2 or 3 pirate parades, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't end with one.
You guys don't know, Tampa loves pirates. We love the boats. We love the people. We love the Buccaneers. So yes, this is a real big tradition in the Tampa Bay area.
So I'm thinking I can't go to Ocala and drive back to Tampa and make it to this night parade unless I'm already dressed as the pirate. So from back in the day, there's been a lot of great marketing guys that I've had a chance to work with. But just to do whatever crazy things that you can to get noticed, right? Balloons and standing out on the road with a sign, all those crazy things. So I'm thinking, Steve, I'm going to come dressed as a pirate. And I'll wave at people along the road, and then, I'm going to have to blast. But that's the first Captain Jack. And I'm driving, and I'm thinking, I wonder if I could come up with a cool name for this pirate, and I thought, well, Captain Jack, Jack, like Jack, and I'm trying to come up with a last name when it was like so obvious. Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
And you do, oh, that's so clever. Jack Sparrow. Oh,
no, it's
anyway.
good.
So it was fun, and it was such a hit. We did it again when the Brandon store opened, and then it became a thing. And before I realized, I was going to every grand opening and giving my time, a couple of hours on the road, waving at cars and having all these tchotchkes for the kids and beads and eye patches. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed the heck out of it. And we did that for a number of years until it was just becoming a bit work. Instead of being fun, it became work. I mean, it's quite an ordeal to put the pirate outfit on and the makeup and do that. It's about an hour to get ready.
So in your opinion, so as we get down, why would you say grand openings matter? If I was to say, Vince, I need to have a great grand opening, but why? What, everybody tells me you need to have a great grand opening. You need to be there, present. You need to get ready, but why? What is the point of having a soft opening versus a grand opening, and the difference between the two, and why is a grand opening so much more?
Well, and again, putting into context that most often we're trying to enter a new market where the brand has not been before. Okay. As opposed to, let's say, a multi-store market. In Tampa, once you've opened up 1 or 2 stores, when you open your 3rd or 4th, the impact of the new store maybe not as great. But when you're the first store in a market that's never had the brand before, you have that first chance to make a good impression, right?
Right.
So it's part of that. So the soft opening allows a store, of course, to work out a few kinks that typically are evident. The credit card machine, does it work or not? Are we connected? The website, the Wi-Fi, all the intricacies of a smooth operation. Do we have the right tools? Do we get all our parts in? Is anything back ordered? You get everything in, everything's running smoothly. And, at that point, you're really drowning in red ink because you're just making sure that everything's getting right. We're marketing, but we still have overhead. We have payroll. We've got all this inventory we have to pay for, and we have no customers, or we have very little. Right. So now it's time for the grand opening, which is, hey, let's get the word out in a big way. We're ready to make a good first impression for anybody that happens by. And in our case, especially in our case, but not so much with the traditional RTO business. When we announce any event or any marketing for that matter. According to the Tire Industry Association, at any given time, 20% of the population may be in the market for tires or wheels.
That's a big percentage.
Well, but it's not like food where you eat every day, or maybe even in the traditional business where I can go from furniture to appliances to electronics. There's a lot of things that I can market to a family at any given time of the year that they may need or want. We have tires and wheels. Maybe some alignment services and some other things. So it's in a limited sense, when I put out any marketing, about 1 in 5 people may be interested in what I have to say.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
I got you.
So again, very important that we could try to get the word out. What does R&R do uniquely that other tire dealers don't? Well, of course, for $20 down, you have safe, quality tires with affordable payment options, right? And we go into the customer care package, which is for the life of the tires. You get free flat repair, free rotate and balance. That's huge. Free alignment checks. We even put nitrogen in the tires for the life of the tires. And if that weren't enough, you get 12 months of roadside assistance, right? So it's a great value. And what we want to do at the grand opening event is simply preach the story, right? Tell what we do uniquely as a tire dealer and how we want to help folks drive safely to work, to school, to relatives. Be safe on the road and stop buying the May Pop tires that are, they're just going to ruin a day. Sooner or later, they're going to go flat. And this way you keep your suspension cleaner. Everything is more efficient on the car, gas mileage. There's so many things that can be affected by proper tires or improper tires. So, I digress. Getting back to the grand opening, if we can get folks to show up where we can tell that story, we do some tire inspections, we just build a little bit of trust, a little bit of awareness that we're here and how we're different than the other tire dealers. That's, to me, the most important part of the grand opening. And of course, if you get a little bit of business along the way, that's great too.
Great. So in your opinion then, and again, I know that this is all fluid. This is not one system fits all. But if you were to say an average, when we open on a soft opening versus a grand opening, how much time usually takes place? How much time do we tweak the nuts and bolts and make sure that everything is going good and the lifts go up and down and we know how to greet people and we know the POS system? So then we get ready. And is it 6 weeks that we do a good job? Do we say 2 months? Because then you also don't want to span it out too long, but you don't want to make it too close. And is there a sweet spot in your opinion that you've had over these 100 different openings? You say probably in that area would be a good time frame.
To give you my opinion, 1 to 2 months after that soft opening is probably the sweet spot. You were right when you said it's very fluid, depending upon any number of circumstances. In an ideal situation, within the first week, you're perfectly ready to go. That's Murphy's Law, right?
Right.
So
right.
I know you're laughing because I know you've been around a lot of great store openings as well. So there's always something that has to be tweaked a little bit. So give that a little bit of time. But then you also have to dovetail in circumstances that may or may not be in your control, which could be anywhere from the time of year that the store is opening and when you're planning that. My opinion is it's difficult to get noticed in the holiday season. Yes. To a November or December grand opening, you're competing with a lot of other marketing that's going on, and marketing tends to be more expensive at that time of year. So, I may delay a grand opening until January or February. And again, it's the grand opening event. You're still open for business. You're still doing marketing. Correct. But to try and say, hey, everybody, whether you need tires or not, come on by the R&R store. You might, register for some prizes. You could win something nice. We give away Yeti coolers and barbecue grills, something that anybody might want to get them to just come by so we can tell our story. Right. We like to use free lunch, and instead of cooking hot dogs, we've gravitated towards getting food trucks that have their own following. If you can find a really popular food truck, as an example, yes. They bring their own subscribers with them by marketing. Hey, they're going to be at the R&R grand opening, blah blah blah. Come on by. They're sponsoring free lunch. right?
Right.
And, we control that by having them register to win a prize. And once you register,
let me ask you something. Are you getting everything out of your rent-to-own business? If you're not an A-Pro member, then the answer is probably no. Look, advocacy is A-Pro's bread and butter. This is why they were created and what they do best. But here's the thing. A-Pro membership is about way more than advocacy. A-Pro connects you to the movers and the shakers of the industry, people who've been there, done that, and they can help you do it even better. A-Pro's monthly webinars give you expert insights and actionable takeaways. It's like having a masterclass for your business every single month. Got questions about complex regulations or sticky situations? No problem. A-Pro's legal hotline gives you direct access to experts who have got the answers. That's a peace of mind that you can't put a price on. And let's not forget the resources, news, updates, and tools that keep you ahead of the curve. Scholarships for your team? Check. Disaster relief when you need it most? Double check. A-Pro is your ultimate support system in the rent-to-own world. So stop settling for less. With A-Pro, members get more. More support, more connections, more success. Head over to rtohq.org and join the A-Pro family today. Because in this business, more isn't just better. It's essential. See you at the top with A-Pro.
We give you a ticket for free lunch. And it's between that registration and getting the ticket for the free lunch that someone, a team member, is going to preach the story. Hey, do you know why R&R is unique and what we do is special here? Let me tell you. Right? Just get that little bit out and let them know, hey, you may not need tires now, but you might know somebody that does. $20, brand new tires.
Let's see if we can make that happen
today. Right.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So, and I'm glad you said that, because in all the years that I've done rent to own, it probably took me 10, 12 years before I even attended a grand opening. I had been working at places that were already established. They had already been there for a few years. So it wasn't even in the first 2 years. It was like, place has already been here. They've already had a set of customers. What would you say to somebody that says, okay, not a lot of people have attended them. You yourself have attended a lot. I've attended a few. I know guys who have been working at rent to own for years that have never attended any, as far as being a part of it, right? Okay. They've probably seen it, but, gone by. What would you say, I want to train my guys. I want to train my new staff and say, this is the best foot forward that you can put. This is not an everyday situation. This is the grand opening situation. How would you train them or have them approach a situation that might be a little bit different than a normal, regular day?
Well, I think it would be good to clarify expectations of the day. And that can range, but I think that, you've got, again, from what we've been discussing, Pete, awareness, marketing, ending up with business, deposits, right, installs, wheels on a car, tires on a car. Again, it's one day. The marketing leading up to that day isn't necessarily meant for you to have this fantastic install day with all this revenue. It would be great, but I don't want that to be the barometer of success. I think the key is awareness and marketing. So if we can get the registration box full of names that can be marketed to over the course of the next year, right? That's a success to me. Okay. So in talking about activities for the day, it should be just that. What are we here to do? Well, if we can close deals, let's close some deals. There's no doubt about that. Right. But it's not only that. It's every person that shows up to say, what's going on? Brand new store, very nice. You got balloons and everything. And I see the truck. What's going on? Preach the story. Well, why don't you come over here and fill this thing out? We're going to register. Do you want some prizes? I'm going to get you a ticket for free lunch. Let me tell you about R&R and what we do unique. Safe, quality tires with affordable payment options. So
okay, I love that. You're so right. I mean, it's so important to not judge your first big day on the fact that nobody knew that you were there to begin with. They finally see you, and all of a sudden, we're going to do business with you. No, I love that idea. If you were to say, like, let's say top 3 to 5 metrics that you would love to see a store come out of on a grand opening. You said one was the referral box, or at least, I shouldn't say the referral box,
Registration.
but the registration box. The registration box now is what I would like to have for that basic information, a name, a phone number, possibly an email, so that I can reach out to you and say, hey, you came here for our grand opening. You might not have won this prize, but I've got a better prize for you. I've got a set of 4 tires for you for $20 a week. So we use that. That's probably one good metric to say we've gotten some names and numbers in here. Not only have they seen us because they literally came in and gave us the information, but we had time to talk to them then and then follow up. What would be 3 or 4 more metrics that you would say, you know what, this to me, even though maybe they didn't get it then, or we didn't have 25 installs on that day, but it was a good day. It was a good day. That it was a good turnout.
So, well, something that I don't really think too much about up front is in the aftermath. How did the team do under pressure? Okay. Right? Because this is their stress test. The busiest that they might be ever to that point, right. and maybe for some time to come until they build up the volume and have, a certain amount of customers that are built up. They're going to have new business, service business, right? Account management business, all that activity is absent in those first few months.
Right.
But when they're that busy that day, did they work together well? Was there any chinks in the armor? And then you get to work on those. So I think that the observation of the team doing well is a great takeaway. Okay. I don't know how you put a metric to that other than to say,
well, I mean, team unity, team,
right.
team mentality.
They have a good time doing it, because everybody should be having a good time on this particular day. It's really about enjoying the fact that we're open for business. We know what we're doing. Everybody's got their ducks in a row. Let's go at it, and have some fun. Right. And as it says back here, change lives, changing lives. Let's go change some lives.
That's it. So do you feel like there's ever a point where like you go, okay, one of the metrics needs to be that we've done enough to get to this point? In other words, the pre-setup, the pre-planning. Did we do enough flyering? Did we do enough cold calls? Did we do some business to business? Did we get the remote from the radio station? Did we get the food truck? Did we, would that be in your mind? Would that be one of the metrics to say, you know what, we got that there. This was success because we did the right things. Not necessarily everybody comes in the door, because you can't. That's something you can't say unless you literally go out there and grab somebody and pull them in. You can't make them come in. But did you do everything to get to that point, that at least to show the best face forward?
Right. Well, Pete, I guess the last metric, if I were to give you 3, to give you the third metric, really wouldn't be something you measure that next day. And again, maybe I can hear other people thinking, of course, what you do that day matters. I want to see a lot of business on the books.
Right.
But I think the metric really should be, what's the uplift that next month? At least the next week or the next 2, you should see certainly an increase in week over week business, month over month business. That should really spike upward. So whatever the trajectory was before the event, hopefully the trajectory is a much steeper one because of that activity. Did we do enough marketing? I almost want to say that, there's the story about, the beach full of starfish.
Yes.
And the girl throwing them in, and the man saying, that's not going to mean a whole lot to, there's so many of them. And the girl says, well, it meant a lot to that one. So if you can connect with 1 or 2 customers that day because of your grand opening event, that's, I think, how it all starts. We know we grow our stores in RTO 1 customer at a time, 1 relationship at a time. If you can do that in a quality way, in a meaningful and sincere way, your company will grow. The dollars take care of themselves if you do the right thing. That was something that Larry taught me as a young man. And it's always worked that way. Do the right thing for the right reason, and the business takes care of itself. So if we can do the right thing when we've got all these customers just hanging out or coming by they just want to win a TV or it doesn't matter. That's okay. Did I give them 100% on telling them the story? I think a lot of times what I still enjoy to this day is when I get to talk to a new candidate about R&R, and it just comes out of me. It's like, man, I love talking about our business.
Right.
I love talking about what we do at R&R and the way that we take care of our customers and our team members. And if you can do that successfully at the grand opening event through all the team members with every interaction, I think certainly that uplift will occur. And, you just get in as much as you can. Getting all those people there is part of all those different marketing funnels, in today's times with all the digital that's going on, and in addition to whatever other means of marketing that you might have available to you. Some stores have radio, some do not. Do we use big billboards? Do we not? But everybody should be doing digital marketing, Facebook, PPC, geofencing the areas that are most meaningful to the store. We talked about perhaps doing the Every Door Direct in a certain radius of the store, so those folks are actually getting a physical piece to remind them of the event. When you get all those bases covered, getting flyers out, going to businesses and saying, hey, can you pass some of these out to your customers, knowing this might be a customer demographic that we know is going to visit the RTO store. All of those things combined add up together. Synergistically, they're more meaningful when you're doing everything you can. Get the Chamber of Commerce out if you can. Invite government officials. If the town is small enough, you'll get the mayor to come out, right? I mean, go for the gusto and ask. You never know. Whatever PR methods that you might have to reach out to the news stations or publications in the area, all those things add up together. So I champion the use of as many as you possibly can afford.
So that I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what I wanted to focus on next. So let's say you have a new entrepreneur and they're hungry, they're ready to go. They got into the franchise. Franchising isn't cheap. You've got to buy the supplies, you got to buy the racks, you've got to buy the tires, you've got to get the store, you've got to bottle it out, you've got to do all this stuff. What would you say are some of the best things that you can do with the budget, right? We're not, a billboard would be great, but billboards are expensive, right? There are certain things that you would love to do and say, man, I would love to have a 30-second ad on TV. I would love to do this and I would love to do that. But I can't, Vince. I have what I have. And like you said, I got to pay these guys for the next 3 months and they're not generating any revenue just yet. Not yet. They will, but not yet. What would you say, if Vince right now was to come out here with a tight budget, what are the best things what are the best bang for their buck that they can do as far as the grand opening is concerned?
The digital marketing for sure is very high ROI. You can track it. You can control your spend, and you can target your spend. That's probably the most, logical. But I think that, akin to the story about starfish, flyering, good old fashioned hand to hand, kiss the babies and shake the hands kind of approach is unparalleled the best way to grow your store. Albeit it's very slow and arduous. It's the certain way that you will take inches forward every day instead of throwing a lot out there or throwing a lot against the wall and hoping that some of it sticks. I mean, you've got to do all of those things, but I again want to champion the thought that it's not just one most important thing. It's the constant touching of all the things as many times. It's like you can't do all the things all the time. I get that. But if you're trying to do as many of them as often as you can, it's that mixture, that synergy that really makes the magic happen. And, when you don't omit the yeast, your cupcakes rise. That's a story Greg Tanner told me once. You did everything right. You got all the eggs and the flour, but you forgot the yeast and the cupcakes didn't rise. And it was like just the one little ingredient that you forget sometimes is the one that makes the magic happen. So don't omit anything if you can help it.
So, the approach that I'm looking at, I've seen it done in different ways. And I wonder, Vince, how do you take it? When there's a grand opening, I've seen guys go, okay, listen, you're going to take them from the beginning to the end. You go out there and grab them. I want you to hold on to them, tell them the story, greet them, give them something, get them to the box, get them registered for something, get them to the counter and do this. And then I've seen guys go, okay, let's do this. Vince, you're one of the best greeters I got. You're out there in a pirate costume. I don't want you to do anything but attract the customers. Bob, Joe, Pete, I want you to go out there, and once they're done with Vince, I want you to grab them and give them the whole once over. Hey, this is what R&R does. This is what we do. We have this giveaway. We have this. What are you looking for? I sold it. Now I'm going to give it to Jimmy, who could be there by himself in the back or whatever the case is. This guy's job, he's the one who knows the POS system the best. He has the best training on it. He knows how to type it up. He's been doing it for the last month or 6 weeks or whatever the case is, and he has that ability. And then you take him over there, you tell him what tires and wheels, you tell him whatever inventory that you need, he'll type it up, explain it, and they'll be on their way. What would you feel is the best approach on that?
You just said it. But I would hope that most people are cross-trained and could do any number of those things. And that's that testing the metal. When the two greeters your primary function today is to preach the program. Well, what if there's 3 people or 4 who's going to handle the overflow? Can somebody pick up the pace, and that's the team working together, yes. Right? But I think for that, hey, for today, here's the plan. Something like you just mentioned, Pete, everybody has a unique responsibility that keeps the flow going. And if you have a nice flow, steady flow of people arriving, checking you out, that's the perfect way to put them through, because they're getting to talk to a lot of people. And if they see a consistent smile on everybody's face, they're going to say, wow, there's something different about this tire store.
Going on.
Right.
There's something
right.
Going on.
And if everybody handles it right, maybe you'll get some deals, because that is the natural progression. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you about what we're doing here. Did you come in today just for the prizes and check us out? Or do you have a tire problem? Is your lights on? Can I check your tires? Let's do a tire inspection. Right. And often if you'll walk around, you can tell somebody, hey, you're okay now, but your tires are out of alignment. This one's going to start looking dangerous here in a little bit. Let's get you in next week, blah, 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 right? Yeah. Or, maybe you get that 1 in 5 that came in and they actually do need tires. Let's get them on today, right? Let's close that deal. And that'll take it to that next person who's actually going to write up the paperwork and get everything started.
I'm that way too. I like that. I like the approach where everybody has that simplistic idea. Yes, you can fall back if you need to. I also believe in the fallback. Hey, if somebody's got 2 or 3 people and you kind of see that they're at their not their wits end, but you see the bursting at the seams, like I can't take anymore. Sure, don't mind falling back. And then when you're done and they're passed off again, you go back to it. Sometimes people get busy, and that's great on a grand opening, and sometimes they're not. It's okay, and you can handle a little bit more. But the idea is everybody has a plan. There's a fallback. That we understand the nuts and bolts of what we're trying to do. Yeah. At the end of the day, we want them to be happy. We want them to explain exactly what we're doing. We want to get them to the registration box, and we want to get them to the counter. And if we can complete all that, even if they don't buy, we've had a successful point, because we can reach out to them again and say, hey, I know that you were here the other day. Just so you're aware, we have this deal going on. We have this set of buy 3 tires, get 1 free, whatever the case is, and work out to it. So,
and Pete, let me add this. So the way that you described it, again, with everyone having somewhat unique responsibilities, here's inevitably what happens too. Customers have come in, or potential customers are going to come in, and they registered, they got their ticket, maybe they're sitting there eating some free food, and maybe now they're just kind of meandering around, right? If you don't have a plan of who did what, you won't know, is anybody taking care of this person, right? I may not have seen them walk in. They may not have registered yet. They may have, but it's like, hey, did that guy already register? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. I don't have to worry about it. Or no, he hasn't. Hey, come on, let me, right?
Yeah, so, like that.
So there has to be some way of checking, because on a good grand opening, you're going to have a lot of people at the store that may need services or may not have been talked to yet.
Well,
that's the best way to handle it.
Checks and balances, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you see that, hey, I know who you should be talking to right now, or who jumped the gun, which is okay. Hey, this guy's busy over here. Again, the fallback guy, this guy's over here busy. So I know that if I go over there and I approach him, this is what I got to cover in order to cover his back and then get him to the right where they need to be. So one of the questions that I've always had, because I've always seen this, and I'm curious. Vince, you got a lot of knowledge and a lot of years. What I see is hours of grand opening. Okay, I've seen that. We have a grand opening day, the entire day. We clock in and we don't clock out to the last person's out of the parking lot, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter. I've seen people say, hey, we're having a grand opening, but his prices are going to be going on all week long, all month long. What do you think? In your opinion, where is it? Is there a sweet spot of timing? Is it a day? Is it a week? Do we treat it like Black Friday now, where it's like all part of the month? It's November 1st. You get Black Friday deals. Yeah. Like in a grand opening, is the spear point good to say it a day or a time of day, or is there a different way to do it? How do you feel about that?
Well, again, there's not just the one way to skin the cat. The singular day. The problem with that is that, it's one and done. So I do like the thought of stretching out maybe some of the giveaways, where perhaps the grand prize, the day of the event, you give away some of the different prizes, gift cards, things like that. But you may have a set of tires, a set of wheels, in our case, maybe a big screen TV, whatever it is. And maybe you hold those so that you can continue registering people throughout the rest of the week or the balance of the month, and stretch that out and start using your digital video kind of marketing to give away a next prize or to build up to the giveaway on the other one. I think that there's a lot to be said for that.
On this podcast, I don't just talk about any company. So when it comes to rent to own, we talk about what works. If you're an RTO retailer and you're still running your marketing and your CRM like it's 2020, you need to talk to Wow Brands. I've had their CEO, Ryan Krass, right here on the show. And what his team has built is the real deal. A full digital ecosystem made specifically for rent to own. Websites and e-commerce that actually convert. A CRM built for our industry, not just bent to fit it. Vendor inventory management that keeps your ordering and pricing dialed in. Wow Brands isn't a general marketing shop dabbling in rent to own. This is their whole world, just like it's ours. Head to wowbrands.com and tell them the RTO show sent you. That's wowbrands.com.
But it doesn't erase the call to action. Come to the store on this Saturday from this time to this time so that we can register you, and you've got this extra air or atmosphere of celebration and, introduction that you want to get a hold of. So I think that hopefully that answers your question.
Well, the way I always looked at it, and I try to look at it twofold, right, is we look at it a grand opening and we say, hey, we're going to create this event. This is going to be an event. Nobody says, hey, man, I'm going to have a rodeo for like 2 months. Nobody's going to say Christmas is like a week long, right? It's an event. Doesn't mean that the situation doesn't cause for a little extension, but we say, as we talk about it, this is the event. My grand opening is on this Saturday at this time. Be there or be square. Okay. But then they pass, and it gives you the opportunity to say, okay, they weren't there. And now on Monday through the next Friday, we say, hey, listen, we had such a great grand opening. We're extending the prices for the next week. Now, you don't want to, and my point is saying is that you don't want to go 2 months earlier and go, hey, we're having this grand opening, but we're going to have it for all week, because then I don't have an urgent sense of urgency to get there. Right. That call to action kind of loses its luster. Well, I need to be there to get these prizes. And if you tell me, well, there are going to be these prizes here, but then we're going to give away some more prizes, you got then I'll just wait, because now it's kind of watered down. Yeah. So, I always thought the marketing approach was the marketing approach is great to say, hey, come here at this time, be here at this time and date, be in person, and you can win whatever we got to give away. Whether it be 4 tires. Hey, listen, we're a tire store. We're going to make sure that you have the right tires, no matter what you got, whether you have a 1985 Datsun or whether you have a 2026 Ford F-150, we're going to take care of it all the same. Plus, we got a couple other things that we're going to say. Maybe you mention it, whatever it is. And then that Monday you say, you know what? The grand prize winner wasn't, and I'm, this under legal terms, under the right terms, but either the grand prize winner wasn't here, or we have a second grand prize that we're giving away, whatever the case is. And now we're from Monday through Friday, you get to enjoy these, and we're going to do a second large giveaway on Saturday morning and extend it out. And because I've seen people go one way or the other. And I hate putting all my ducks in one row and, all my eggs in one basket. I've learned that, take the situation for what it is. But then don't be afraid to milk it. Don't be afraid to take that situation a little bit further, because here's the overall gist of it. I need to grow my store by serving my community any way possible. So if I can do that and have a super grand opening and then have a super grand opening week, and then you know what? Maybe I have a super grand opening month. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. But because I agree with you wholeheartedly, it's not the day or the event. It's how am I helping my company and my community at the same time? And if that means getting all the names that I can and introducing myself to all the people that I can and putting myself in people's lives the best way that I can, where does it go from there? Can I ride that wave?
Right.
You know, right. Because it's dual-sided. We know it's dual-sided. Yeah. We want to make sure that we're helping out the community. At the same time, we're here for a reason. We have lives that we're changing here as well. Listen, I got 5 guys in the back that need to, you know, they trust in us to grow this business enough to get them to where they need to be with their family and what they have going on. So, you know, just saying that.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to Pete for the grand opening, the thought of post-event brought up in my mind, perhaps we should talk a little bit about pre-event. How early do you start marketing the event, and what's too early?
Well, you looked up a cheat sheet because it's coming up. No, it's okay. Let's do that. What is too early? And I would say, we all know what too late is. I mean, you can't be 48 hours out going, hey, this is my grand opening. Right. But like, if you're talking time frames and you're talking about marketing, we're talking about real marketing now. We're not just talking about talking about it and doing it. Right. We're out there now. We're spending dollars to get this done.
Right.
How far out do you go?
I think 1 to 2 weeks is about the right time frame prior to start getting the word out there. Now, again, if you've got radio available to you, you know, do you put radio out 2 weeks early or 1 week? You know, I think that just is up to, you know, the situation. Flyers. If I put the flyers out, I think a week out, that's probably just about right. If I do a direct mail campaign and any digital campaigns, more than a week out, that's just too early. You know, it's not like people are going to mark off that Saturday and reserve it. You know, you just got to hope that, you know, compared to everything else that might be going on in their lives, that they may have a half hour to an hour to stop by the store during your event, and they're aware of it, you know? So, I think 1 to 2 weeks pre makes sense. And then anything you can do after the event to continue it and extend it. Again, what we're really talking about as far as the call to action to the consumer, the day of the event, come in, register, you might win something. After the event, what's my promotion? Do I have, let's say, $20 down, get you a brand new set of tires? Now that's a promotion. It's not always $20 down, get you a set of tires, but that's typically our grand opening kind of call to action. As an example, $50, you get wheels and tires, right? So does that last forever? No, but it doesn't end on that day either. So if I'm going to offer that for the rest of the month, come on in. You can still register to win that big screen TV. You know, we gave everything else away, but you could still win the big screen TV. Something like that to keep it going and continue to collect the marketing names and anybody that comes in. You know, you're building a rapport by saying, hey, thank you for coming in and doing business with us. We still have this contest going. Would you like to register? Let me go ahead and get you into it while you're here today.
Yeah. You know, you said something, you said a word that I have always loved when it comes to certain events, and that's reservation. You know, I've seen guys do it plenty of different ways. They go out there into the world and they're marketing, and somebody says, "Hey, this is great. I love what you're doing, but I want to take advantage of that deal." So then the guys that go around and they're thinking, this is the conundrum. Do I take it now and give them the promotion because they need it now, but they're not going to make it to the event? Or this might give them less incentive to be at the event. Or do I say, well, I'd love to give it to you. I'm not going to do it right now.
Peter.
Right.
Come on.
And that's what and my thought is, you do it. You take it.
You take the deal.
You take it. I'm going to reserve this for you right now. Listen, if this is what's going to happen, let me get your name, your number, and information.
There's no reason to wait till the event.
Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you talk about tires and wheels. So furniture is a little bit different, but especially when you talk about tires and wheels, right? You got to get them off the market now. Like you said, it's 1 in 5. Well, maybe. Again,
we know that we have to close a deal sometimes 78 weeks in a row. Right. In the RTO world, right? We're building relationships. So if you give the guy the deal today, or you don't, he's just unaware of it. And you know, the grand opening is next week, and you've got some special deal that would have saved this person some money. How are they going to feel next week or the week after when they find out what did happen and that they could have had a deal and you just didn't give it to them. It's just, it's stinking thinking. I would give it to the customer. Right. It would help make a deal, and help close deals leading up to the event by talking about the event.
And that's exactly how I feel. I feel like if you're in a situation where you're out there marketing and you have the ability to do something early, just get it done. Because what we're doing is to get customers on the program. And if that's what's going to, that's what it's going to take, get it done.
That's right.
I mean, is there a question? But and I understand where guys are coming from. I've never done this. I'm new at this. I'm a new employee, and I don't want to. I don't want to give away the goodies ahead of time. I don't want to be like, Pete, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. It's only a one-day thing. You're losing money. And I'm like, if you have an owner, if you have a GM who's thinking that way, we've got to talk to him. And I gotta say, listen, if you're going to put all this money into promotion and then start going, I'm going to nitpick where I'm going to allow this to go out. I mean, listen, I get it if we're going to give away the farm, but this is not the golden goose. This is a customer who needs the product and they need it now. Get the service done.
Yeah.
Get the service done. Like you said, I got 77 other weeks to worry about. I really, the 78 is, the 78th one isn't going to kill me. Let's get that one out of the way. Right. And now I only have 77 times to make sure that you're going to stay on this program and you're going to be taken care of. And that's really what I want to happen.
Yeah. Well, especially for the grand opening. I mean, we can spread this philosophy to any day in the life of any RTO store, and it would take on a different meaning based on that context. But during grand opening phase is when we talk in those terms, I would, just because of building rapport, I would want to offer the deal and get the deal closed. Right. Offer the promotion to get the deal closed. And there's just no reason not to. I know there's have not because you ask not. And even in our world, we want to ask how much you would like to put down today to get started. It's $20 to get you started, but you can ask, and how much would you like to put down in addition to the $20? Right? Because we have a same as cash approach as part of our marketing that we utilize quite a bit. But close the deal, offer the promo, build rapport, preach the program.
Preach the program. I love the question, what is it going to take to earn your business today? Put it out front. Let's just be open about it. If I didn't do a great job, tell me. Let me know. Give me that feedback. Where did I miss you at? What are you worried about? Or what are you thinking about? What about my pitch did not cover all the needs that you have? Let me know. Maybe I forgot something and I didn't tell you about a program that's absolutely going to help you get to where you need to be. What is the pain point? Because truthfully, especially nowadays, and when I say nowadays, I'm really talking about the last 2 or 3 years. Most people don't visit a place they're not going to shop at. Right. Like most of the time, they've already scoped you out online, right? They're looking online, they're not going to go, I'm going to stop at that place just to stop. Now, if you have a grand opening, it might be a little bit different. I can register or something like that. But at that point in time, it's also good to say, I appreciate you coming in. I know I didn't earn your business yet, but can you tell me, what would it take to earn your business today? And maybe, they could tell you it's taking a bucket of money, Pete. It's going to take a bucket of money and that's all it is. But, it's also a way to get better at your sales approach. Maybe they just say something. You're like, man, I didn't even think about that. And you tell them that, it's okay. Yeah. But the next time that somebody comes around, make sure that you mention that. Yeah. Maybe you mention that first, because maybe that's the pain point of a lot of people in this area. And it's one of those things like it's super important. And you got a lot of different areas. I mean, you got areas that are urban, and I got
rural, right?
You got rural, you got highways, you got potholes. It's a whole lot of different things that you're going to deal with, especially in the wheel and tire. But just to make sure that, you're covering your bases and you're talking to the people the way that they understand wheel and tire, because the regions are different. Cities are different. Towns are different. Yeah. People are different. And so how you talk to them, it's just a good way to understand what they're thinking and what's going through their mind and how to reach out to them so that they understand what it is you're offering.
I think fundamentally what you're saying though is kind of sales 101. Tell me your problem. Tell me where the pain is at.
Yeah.
Let me figure out how to solve that for you. It's a different way of what you're asking. Well, what will it take for me to earn your business is really saying, what problem haven't I solved yet? so that we can do business together.
Right.
Is really what you're asking.
What is
right?
this? It's the sales doctor approach. What's your pain point? Let me fix it.
Right.
Where are you going? What is it hurting right now? And let me make sure I can talk about that, because maybe it's the price of gas. Well, I'm looking at your tires. They're running a little low. They're not on nitrogen. They're kind of wearing out. You know what? I could probably give you 3 or 4 miles back a gallon if if we take care of you today. Oh, is that so? Well, maybe you didn't know that. Maybe it's a possibility that you really did not know that. Now, it depends on the type of vehicle. If you're talking about a car that already gets 30, 35 miles a gallon, okay, maybe you get a mile back. Yeah. If you got a truck that's an F-150, or you got a Ram 1500, whatever the case is, you might actually get that back. Yeah. Now, if you decide to put on the 22s or whatever it is, that might be a different story. But listen, the information needs to be out there, so that you can make that educated decision that you need to make. Well, maybe you want to get a 22, but maybe the tread wear that you're used to having with these big truck mud tires is not the same that you would get with a different highway type tire. Oh, really? Well, yeah, it's great in the mud, but how often do you go in the mud? You know what I mean? Here's the question. What's going to save you more money? What's going to be best for you? How can I solve your problem today? And I think that's really the approach that I love doing on almost anything, especially grand openings, to make sure that we find those pain points. But another thing that I wanted to talk about, because I've heard this 150 million times, and they say, Pete, location is everything. And I've heard guys tell me, okay, location plays a bit, but it's what you do with your location that matters. If I was to say, Vince, I'm having a grand opening, does the location matter as much as what I do with it? Is it that big of deal? Do I have the ability to turn that around on its ear? And I know that you've done this a long time, so I think I know what your answer is, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, you don't have a lot of choice as far as where your grand opening event is. It's going to be at the store. The store is where the store is at.
Right.
Are we going to make the store look as good as we can? And of course, that should always be the case. But then what do you do on top of that to get noticed? Well, you could have a pirate out front waving at traffic, right? But that's the point, is what can I put or do to the store that will get it noticed on this particular day? We've gotten jump houses, but from a marketing perspective, we use those H or yard signs to announce that we have free food, win prizes, grand opening event, whatever it might say, banners, pennant flags. I love those big cloudbuster balloons. Fly that over your store. There's so many things that you can do that make the store look festive that day. Have some just regular helium balloons, fly a few out front, tie them to some product, and inside the store have all that going. Of course, they're already inside the store. So if from the outside, how do I get somebody who's just driving along, hasn't heard any of the marketing yet, and they look over and they say, wow, I wonder what's going on over there, right? We just want them to stop just because there's so much going on. How do you get the store to look inviting? Well, for me, again, start with, how does the store look? If you have any landscaping, has it been edged? The sidewalk's all clean. There's no litter, right? You start with those basic things, which are true on any day, right? But those should be done with an extra eye towards, I'm going to have a lot of people looking at the store today for the first time. So let's make sure all that's clean, nice, clean parking lot, and then add stuff in, layer in whatever you can. I've been to grand openings where we've had a live band playing at the store.
I would have loved to have seen that.
2 or 3 bays, chairs in the bays, and a band playing. So, that was truly an event, right? Come out and enjoy yourself for a few hours. That was a great grand opening, but you can't always have a band playing. We don't have space, but, anything between A and Z that you can do to get noticed and to bring some fun, for people to come out and let you preach the story, preach the plan.
Is there, and I'm envisioning this as you're describing it. I'm envisioning this in my head, right? And I've spent many of hour on the side of the road pretending to be a sign jockey, which I am not. I am not a good sign jockey, but I've tried. But have you ever come across a situation where you thought, this was too much? This was like there's too many balloons. There's too much going on, and almost seems too busy for the situation. Is that a possibility?
No.
So the more the merrier.
I would say that sure, the more the merrier. There's probably a Peter principle where your return on on those investment dollars, you can exceed that, but you never know. As I mentioned earlier, Pete, the synergistic effect of having a lot of different bases covered. So which ones do you cut out? If you can cover all your bases, I would cover all the bases. And maybe that would be, I wouldn't go too deep in one area only. Like in the case of having a band, it would be great to have a band, but are you going to omit certain marketing to afford the band?
Yeah.
Then you went too deep.
Gotcha.
Right? Because then now there's nobody here to listen to the band, right? Because nobody knew that you're going to have a band. Right. So there has to be some sensibility about what you're spending on your grand opening. I think you can overspend on radio by doing too much or relying too heavily solely on that one medium. So have it spread out appropriately so that you can get done what needs to be done. Is I think the nice balance in the recipe for a good grand opening.
Okay. Well, coming into the end, what would you say as the Vince of old and the Vince of new, the pirate, all the way to what you've seen literally a few days ago? What are some things that you would say, Pete, if I had a grand opening today, this is what I would do. The best way to market my dollars, the best way to have it, but this is the way Vince would have it.
Well, I just came from a grand opening that we tried a different set of hours. Had never done that before. We did a little bit extended into the evening. The store closed at 4, but they kept the grand opening from 4 to 6. That was not as well attended as anybody had hoped that it would be. So I think the takeaway from that is that maybe that particular hour on a Saturday, or that time day part, as they call it, is just tough to get. It's before dinner. It's after most people might be doing whatever they might have been doing on that Saturday afternoon. Right. Typically, I find that the grand openings that range from 10 till 2, 3, 4 o'clock, that's the sweet spot of being able to attract. Come by the store for half an hour, right? Just somewhere in that slice of day, come by the store. So I would try to have it during the right hours of the day that make sense. Also, try to be cognizant of any other activities or holidays that you're not going to have to compete with. Right. So don't come to Tampa and have a grand opening on Gasparilla Day.
Don't do that. Nobody's showing up. Your team might not show up. Don't do that. They'll be out there enjoying.
Yeah. So be sensible in that regard. And the other things that, again, I can't say it often enough, and I apologize if I have. I do as much marketing as I can. Now, PPC isn't necessarily something that would generate activity at a grand opening event, but I just want to include that in the alphabet soup of marketing with your SEO and the OTT for video and any Facebook marketing that you can put out there. Geofence the areas that make sense for your store. Have good coverage. Try to get some interaction, maybe some RSVP kind of activity where you might start qualifying candidates for them being a customer. Have something that makes sense. Again, I mentioned the food truck. It could be a food vendor, a restaurant, something that's close by that you can co-market with. For us, auto parts stores seem to make a lot of sense for us to co-brand or co-market the grand opening event with them. But the food trucks can bring their own activity. A restaurant can do the same if they have a web page, right, where you can spread out the grand opening marketing. Radio stations and having the remote are not like they used to be way back in the day, but they are still effective. So I've seen grand openings where the radio stations can offer their own prizes and again, pull folks to the store that might not otherwise have stopped. And then you have an opportunity to talk to those people. So get as much as that out there at the right time of day. get the word out. And I think the most effective form that often gets overlooked is, I mentioned flyering, businesses in the area that attract the same type of customers. And now, if the team is doing it, and I would try to get the manager to also be involved in this, if not the franchise owner himself, to actually go out and say, I just opened a business. Or the manager might say, I just opened a store and I'm the manager of that store and I'm trying to drum up business and I could really appreciate your help. And maybe just passing these flyers out. Anybody that needs tires, we have this great deal. Now, what am I doing? I'm preaching the plan, right? I'm telling this business owner how my plan works. And I got this great event going on that I just want to say hello to people.
Yeah.
Right? No harm, no foul. Yeah. That is really one of the most successful ways to get people to show up. And you start getting influencers out there that might not even be customers yet, that are just going to say, hey, that guy was pretty nice. And, I've seen their marketing. All of that works together. So that would be my plan, to have a great grand opening event and lean on the R&R marketing team as much as possible.
There you go. I don't know if you guys are going to have the R&R marketing team, but this is how you can have a great event at a grand opening. Vince, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Pete.
Listen, just great timing in everything that's been going on, because we were opening stores left and right. R&R is really, really growing. But on top of that, I loved your explanations. You got a lot going on. There's a lot that you know and understand about grand openings. Listen, if you guys want to reach out to Vince and ask him, hey, Vince, I might not be an R&R, but this is what I'm doing. You're more than welcome to ask. If you're at an R&R, you're going to get him anyways. But feel free to hit me up at pete@thertoshowpodcast.com. Again, go to the website. That is the rtoshowpodcast.com. Get some shirts, get some swag. Hey, anything that you want to do to look like you're one of the crew, we appreciate it. And remember to subscribe to the newsletter. You can see us everywhere that you are on social media. Vince, again, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being on. Thank you so much for doing this. And I'm going to tell you guys, as always, get your collections low to get your sales high. Have a great one.